Let's determine the amplitude of this cosine function. We write the formula for amplitude, and this equals max value minus minimum value, and this is divided by 2. So let's find the max value from the graph of this cosine function. The graph reaches the maximum value of 5 by 2. So this is 5 by 2 minus the minimum value of this function is negative 5 by 2. So I put negative 5 by 2, and this has to be divided by 2. And so this gives 5 by 2. Negative of negative is positive, so we get plus 5 by 2, and this is divided by 2. So we get 5 by 2 plus 5 by 2 is 10 by 2, and this equals 5. So we have 5 in the numerator, and this is divided by 2. So therefore we say that the amplitude of this function is 5 by 2. We now determine the period of this cosine function. Here we are given the graph of this cosine function of one period. Period, we basically see that it is the time it takes for the cosine function before it starts repeating its values. So when you look at the graph of this one period of this cosine function, clearly we can see that the graph starts at positive 5 by 2, and then it reaches 0, then it attains a negative 5 by 2, and once again it becomes a 0, and then it reaches the positive 5 by 2. And so this is the point where it reaches one period of this cycle. And so we can divide this one period into four equal parts. That is, this is one part, and this is another part. You can say that this is one part, and this is another part, and this is another part, and this is another part. All these four parts are equal. So clearly we can see that one part, the distance of the one part is pi by 6. As we can see from here, this is pi by 6. So we see that this is one quarter of the period. That is one fourth of the period of this cosine function equals pi by 6. So from this we can calculate the period of this cosine function by multiplying by 4 on both sides. So when you do that, we get 4 times of pi by 6, and this equals 4 pi by 6. We can put this to simple fraction, that is 2 pi by 3. So therefore the period of this cosine function is 2 pi by 3. Now let's determine the horizontal shift of this cosine function. When we observe the graph of this cosine function, the graph starts at the maximum value of 5 by 2. So whenever the cosine function starts at the maximum value, we see that it is a cosine function with a zero phase shift. That is zero horizontal shift. You can say that it is the horizontal shift of this cosine function is 0. Now let's write the equation of this cosine function in this form: y equals a cosine k times of x minus p. We say that this a represents the amplitude of the cosine function. This k is a constant which is given by this formula: k equals 2 pi divided by period, and this b is a horizontal shift value. So let's put this values of amplitude k and b into this equation. So therefore we write y equals, we know that amplitude is 5 by 2, so I put 5 by 2 times cosine of, let's identify the k using this formula. So I can write down this as k equals 2 pi divided by period. The period of this cosine function is 2 pi divided by 3, and so this equals, I can write this as 2 pi multiplied with 3 over 2 pi. I multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator. So these two pi's gets cancelled, and we are just left with 3. So therefore we have determined the value of k equals 3. Now let me plug in k equal to 3 here, and then x minus the horizontal shift is 0. So I replace b by 0. So let's simplify this. Therefore, we get the equation of this cosine function, and this equals 5 by 2. We can put this in decimals also, that is 2.5 times of cosine 3 times of x, because if we multiply with x, we get 3x, and then 3 times 0 is 0. So this is the cosine function in the form given.